Mee's force reached Cavaldon, a small, run-down town.
The Blacklads, they've a strong garrison in place.
Proclaimed her scouts upon returning from a foray.
And they stand prepared for a siege. Their stores overflow, and we see ballistas, scorpions.
Cavaldon can be taken,
Began Reynard hesitantly.
but not without losses. Considerable losses.
A retreat. Is that what you advise?
I fear the soldiers wouldn't take to such a course. They're eager, Your Grace. They've a fire in them. Order a retreat and you could devastate morale.
Our losses may be heavy,
Said Meave, drawing her sword.
but I'll make certain the vile invader suffers even more. Order the troops to prepare. We will attack.
Soon after, the Lyrians moved on Cavaldon, war drums rumbling in step to their march. Upon the walls, the Nilfgaardians stood poised to defend.
I won't leave a single city to these invader scum! For Lyria! For Rivia!
We must bring down their walls! Crush them!
Got any medals? Hungry like a wolf, I am. Gonna need 3 buckets of nails and a tub full of pegs.
Blood washes away all shame!
Eilherzer!
Oh, Lyrian lummoxes.
Yes.
Left, right, left. What now?
Exzellent, Seifel!
Don't you worry yourself, Your Grace. We'll get her done in no time.
Erigua!
Kazar!
You can try to win them all, but you won't.
Discipline, that is what you folk lack. Eddie Gloire. Gloire and Kazar! Discipline, that is what you folk lack. Eddie Gloire. Gloire and Kazar!
We did it, Your Grace. The city is ours.
The Nilfgaardians had indeed prepared well, with grapples to repel hook ladders from the walls and long spears to rain down upon attackers far below. Meve managed on the fourth attempt to breach the defences, but did so scrambling over the corpses of her own men. The Queen was in the field tent when Reynard arrived with surprising news. To be heard over the groans of the wounded, he had to raise his voice.
Your Grace, a delegation of townsfolk. They seek an audience urgently.
Dozens of burghers stood before the tent. Between them and the Queen, a man knelt in shackles. His face was blooded as if he'd endured a vicious beating just moments before.
Who's this?
Our blacksmith, Todor.
Snarled a priestess in a frayed robe.
He betrayed you, Your Grace. Soon after the Nilfgaardians arrived, within hours in truth, he offered his labour and strength. They didn't even need to ask. Forged arms and armour for them, all for imperial gold.
Meve gripped the beaten man's beard, tugged upwards, and looked him in the eyes.
Did you forge the hooks and the tips for those spears?
I did, Your Grace.
It was fine work.
Growled the Queen.
Damned fine.
Show him mercy, milady!
Cried a withered old man in a flour-spattered apron.
When the black-clad bastards captured my son, they were eager to hang him. Todor spoke for him, saved his life.
He helped me too.
Hollered a woman in the crowd.
I were hungry. He shared what little he had.
The townsfolk began shouting over one another. Some told of the blacksmith's noble deeds. Others labelled him a traitor deserving of a cruel and violent end. Meve turned back towards the field hospital, pondering the case. Then spotted her soldiers' corpses laid out in rows. Had it not been for Todor, there might not have been so many.
20 soldiers died today, wresting Cavaldon from Nilfgaard's grip.
Said Meve, her tone cold and unforgiving.
'Twas your iron that felled them. 'Twill be your blood that pays the debt. 5 lashes for each of the fallen.
Todor's torturers were several, as no one man's arm could complete 100 blows. Amazingly, Todor survived the ordeal, but his body had been broken. He'd never put hammer to anvil again, and spent the rest of his days a beggar.
He were... Freedom will... He weren't a bad person, milady.
Your Majesty, the hut's untouched. Ripe grain in the fields, 'tis hard to believe. I feared we'd have another Edirn here, but the black-clads setting fire to all.
I feared nothing of the sort. Nilfgaard's not stupid. Lands it aims to hold it doesn't destroy. And Willem did bend the knee to the Emperor.
Used to be I hunted game. Men bring more coin. Blood washes away all shame!
Must be an important lesson in this. But what? Again and again and again.
Hundred and 102, 103.
As today the day? Kind fiddles, hungry like a wolf I am.
Jericania! Source of the best goods.
Army's a waste of time for one like me. Left, right, left, right. An army's a waste of time for one like me.
Pissing in the moat? Oh, dead.
For the Queen!
One goat.
Waiting for a personal invitation?
Obedience or the lash! Back in line!
Ours is not to reason why. Ever have a stone knock out one of your teeth?
God save the Queen!
In retreat! Hundred and 52, 154.
That was not in the spell books. I'm coming.
Bigger they are, easier they are to target.
And just when you thought things were about to get dull.
Scrubbing duty again? Oh, gods.
as good as dead, that lot.
An army's a waste of time for one like me.
Thing about slings, they hide well.
Stop your yapping and start digging.
Rach! Scheiß! In train!
You can try to win them all, but you won't.
Off to the front yet again.
Gonna need 3 buckets of nails and a tub full of pegs.
I never miss.
Left, right, left, right. An army's a waste of time for one like me.
Broadhead now loomed before Meve and her force. Once famous for its glowing forges and clanking manufactories, the city now stood silent. Why, you might ask? Because Mahakam. Decades past, it had opened its gates to human merchants and dwarven arms, exquisitely crafted and not nearly as dear as those made by man. The caravans had simply stopped coming to Broadhead. When its black-clad garrison spotted the Lyrians approaching, they'd hastily fled, left the city's gates open wide. Yet, they did not leave empty-handed. Their convoy comprising at least a dozen wagons loaded ostensibly to the hilt.
With what might they have fled?
With something damn heavy,
replied Gascon, squinting his eyes.
Look at this. 2 horses to pull each wagon, and the wheels cut deep into the road.
What they've taken from my city,
began the Queen.
they've taken from me. And I will have it back. Follow me!
Meve spurred her horse and galloped off in pursuit of the fleeing caravan. When the Blackclads realized they had no hope of escape, they planted pikes and feet, bracing for the assault.
Stop! Whatever you carry belongs to me!
They gain ground! Down Safel!
Gonna need,
3 buckets of nails and a tub full of pegs. Gloire!
Waiting for a personal invitation?
Abalista, your command.
To me, ni gloire!
Water. That's some poison.
Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
Alba! armor won't save. Lyria! One bullet's all I need. Give me a target.
Got sand aplenty.
Enough! I refuse to die for these scraps!
Meave personally, and none too gently, shackled the Nilfgaardian commander, a young nobleman with a precisely trimmed moustache. Like many noble Imperials, he spoke fluent common.
The wagons. What's in them, Captain?
Scrap, Your Majesty.
The Imperial promptly replied. Noting the Queen's confusion, he elaborated.
To be melted down and recast into arrowheads and spear tips. Our engineers originally planned to use the foundries in Broadhead, yet these proved too primitive. We were ordered to remove the scrap, take it elsewhere.
Any pride from the victory vanished in an instant, and Meave swelled with anger, but also with shame. The shame came from realizing that to the invader her realm was naught more than a weak, underdeveloped backwater. Meave slammed the chest she'd opened shut.
Blast it! Back to Broadhead. Let's ride.
Crumbling walls, shattered windows, rotted wood. Broadhead was bleak, a dull shadow of its former self. As the Lyrians entered, the somber townsfolk glared at the arrivals and uttered not a word. Meave resolved to address the crowd.
Folk of Broadhead, you're free at last. The Nilfgaardian occupation is done.
Aye, and a new one starts now.
Are you madman? Don't you recognize our banners? The Lyrian army stands before you.
Oh, I recognise banners. Served neath them as a sergeant 15 long years. And then I came back to my own town. Know what I found? Hardship and squalor, your grace. All had gone to shite, on account of damn dwarves. Been flooding Rivia with their metal goods for years now. Us smiths don't so much as light their pipes in their foundries no more. You call yourselves the Lyrian army. Colours and banners confirm it. Well, what about your arms? Weren't forged in us fires, but in Mahakams, by us worst foes. Hell, I even see some at knobheads in your ranks. So what freedom's it you're giving us, your grace? Freedom to beg in common, not in Nilfgaard's mongrel tongue.
Beg? What do you want about, man?
There's no levy on goods from Mahakam. But without it, us workshops don't stand a chance. And ye, your grace, you wear their armour, bear their arms, and bring bearded bastards to our doorstep.
There's a war on. I do whatever I must to win.
Aye, Majesty. And you run up a debt with dwarves. A debt you'll need to repay. At the cost of your own craftsmen.
Enough. Silence. Consider yourself lucky you've a merciful queen. I'd have had your head off by now. Move along.
Before Meave could leave the market square, Barnabas politely interjected.
Frankly speaking, there's a bit of truth to what the man says.
I'm perfectly aware of that. But what do you want?
I don't mean to toot my own horn, but perhaps I might be of some help.
Do tell how. I'm all ears.
Everything your folk make here, the dwarves of Mahakam make twice as fast and twice as well. you must find a so-called niche, an innovation. And it just so happens innovations
Are your speciality.
at the risk of being immodest. Exactly. Besides, it might serve the cause of peace to show the folk here, non-humans, are not all bad, that they can help. Not just steal human jobs and piss in their milk.
I'll consider it, Barnabas. I shall think and let you know.
The time came to leave Broadhead, so Meve summoned her advisors, eager to hear their counsel. They put forth ideas, many of merit, but the Queen would decide the city's future. After careful deliberation, the Queen approved Barnabas's proposal. He would manage the city's ailing industry and seek to restore it to health.
Barnabas, just please, do your best not to blow it all up.
Don't you worry, Your Grace. The only boom in this town's future is that of the economic sort.
At first, the Rivian townsfolk were skeptical of the Queen's decision, but Barnabas's schemes bore immediate fruit. Soon, the foundries and manufactories were bustling with life. Before long, Meve herself received new goods produced there.
The wind howls like a ghastly apparition.
You might have got away had you not been falling so damn much. Stick 'em up, high as the clouds, now!
There's been a mistake. I'm no mage.
Aye.
See if he's hid any coin in his pockets. Or his holes.
My spirit's willing and how, but these damn wolves are killing me.
If anyone asks, you've not seen me. There's been a mistake. I'm no mage.
There's a time to reap, a time to sow, and a time to die.
You can pay the toll in one of two ways. In silver or in blood.
Greetings. What is it? If anyone asks, you've not seen me.
Life had me flowed, now here I'm marching proud.
There's a time to reap, a time to sow, and a time to die.
The mist's gonna pass me those lovely earrings? Or do I tear them off myself?
This harvest will be reaping black-clad heads.
You might have got away had you not been hauling so damn much.
Greetings. What is it? If anyone asks, you've not seen me.
Pointy end upwards, right?
Rivia Castle. Seems our journey nears its end.
That end could yet prove tragic. We've daunting tasks ahead. Pride. It's all I ever felt pondering those walls. Yet now, to behold them from below, I truly do wish we hadn't built them so tall.
The castle of Rivia now loomed before the Lyrians. Water surrounded it on 3 sides, and dual defensive walls studded with podgy turrets completed its perimeter. It was famously difficult to take, and had changed hands only once, a few months before, when traitors opened its gates to the Nilfgaardians. Foreign banners waved upon the walls. The Golden Sun and General Epdahi's crest on Rivia's walls, the walls of home. There was somber silence among the troops, the glee and pride of many triumphs suddenly gone. For each knew if the Queen ordered an assault, most would lie dead by sunrise.
Your Majesty,
began Reynard in a reassuring tone.
We needn't strike quickly. We've time on our side. To prepare would be wise. 2 months, I wager. Perfectly enough. We stop supplies from getting through. They'll capitulate, I've little doubt. Or at worst, be too weak to defend the fortress.
Reynard's reasoning was sound. There was no need for urgency. Meve had the upper hand for the first time in this war.
These invaders have grown fond of Rivia Castle,
said Meve.
So let them stay and rot. Reynard, erect road barricades and guard posts between city and citadel. Gascon, seize all boats, barges, anything that floats. Stop anything from entering from the lake. Move!
Soon Rivia Castle stood isolated from the world outside its walls. All roads leading to it were blocked, impassable. Fishing boats, a cordon, embraced the fortress on Loch Escalot. The lanterns on their bows glowed like fireflies in summer. Then, an emissary from the castle brought a message for the Queen. General Epdahi wished to meet, face to face, and half the way between the citadel and the Lyrian camp.
Well, well, some general,
smirked Gascon.
We've barely snapped the trap shut, yet he's already shaking in his knickers.
Meve proceeded to the meeting point without delay. A lone rider soon appeared on the horizon. He came adorned in rich black robes, their golden trim shimmering in stray sunbeams. She'd seen him before, in Edirn, through the megascope.
You came as I requested. Good. Very good.
I couldn't possibly refuse such a courteous invitation. Especially as compared to your previous missive. The art of diplomacy, you've improved your grasp.
Your realm fell quickly. I expended little strength in seizing it. This left me much time to study. But please, we must set aside this bitterness. I'd like to formally welcome you to Rivia, dear Queen.
I see you've readily adopted the role of gracious host in my home.
In point of fact, I've grown fond of the castle. Fortifications impressive, atypical of the north. Not so your brave soldiers, whom we shall pick off like ducks. I pity them, in fact.
Dry your eyes, General. Rest easy. I've no plans for a quick assault. I shall first wait to hear the rumbling in your bellies.
Remarkable. You truly believe you can win this war? I've not been in the north long, but have discovered something all the same. You don't grasp complex ideas. You know Nilfgaard is large, but your minds don't fathom its enormity. You see, for every army you defeat, another will come to take its place. One larger and better equipped than the one before. Even now, as we so pleasantly chat, Army Group East is en route to lift your siege. Due to arrive tomorrow. And you know what will happen when they do. They will crush you against your own castle's walls, like the maddening flea you are.
Enough. I'll not be insulted, General, nor intimidated.
Then I wish you a splendid night, Majesty. Get some rest. You need it tomorrow.
Indeed I will. For with raised visor I shall be at the fore, unlike you.
In my home, in the civilized world, a general commands his force. He does not rush and thrash about like some rabid hound.
You're not at home, General. You're in the north, in my home. But you're right, I will rest. While you should pray to all your gods that we don't meet amidst the fray.
Without awaiting a response from General Ep Dahi, Neve pivoted and turned toward camp. Her pace was quick, despite a heavy heart.
Gonna be one hell of a night! Ah! Ah!
Meave's closest advisors already awaited her in the command tent. In a few brief words, the Queen gave a report of the meeting, only with great effort masking the quavering in her voice.
An army, an immense one, approaches from the west. If we meet in open battle, we stand not a chance.
Damn it! Why did no one warn me?
Our scouts were discovered. Captured. It must be that.
We must flee? Not at all heroic, I admit, but sure as hell better than being trampled into the dirt.
Easily said, but for a problem. Our force is chiefly infantry. The army that draws near includes cavalry, several regiments. We cannot hope to escape them. We cannot hope to hide.
What do you advise?
We've two options. Capitulate,
Out of the question.
or take the castle. Tonight.
Suppose for a moment it's possible. Tell me how and at what cost. Are we to scale a mountain of comrades' corpses to reach the top of the wall? I know we're at war and many die, but to command our troops to take that citadel is to condemn them to certain death.
Rivia's walls are unassailable, I fully agree. But there's more than one way to take any fort, and this fort too.
I think I like where this is going.
I know this citadel like no one else. I know its one potential weakness. The boat landing.
Wait, that narrowest of piers between the two turrets? The one where the fishermen would land?
The same. As I'm sure you recall, Your Grace, at that narrow pier's end stands a narrow door leading straight into the fortress. A small detachment could approach unnoticed, overwhelm any sentries, and get inside.
What then?
They would need to pass through the fort to the winch in the guardhouse. Open the gate for the rest of the force.
Reynard, I'll be honest. It sounds right mad.
Perhaps. But as options go, we have it alone.
And I'm to choose to send folk there? Most certainly to die.
You needn't choose anyone, for I volunteer. And will take only those willing to do the very same.
Bloody wretched plan.
And you've a better one, do you?
Of course. I'll go instead.
Beg your pardon? I don't.
Face it, Reynard, you couldn't sneak past a corpse. Sound like a bloody tambourine in that armour. Apart from which, you're Maeve's right hand. So you ought to be by her side when the fighting starts.
Firstly, Reynard, I'm grateful. Well done, my friend.
Thank you, Your Grace.
But truth be told, I did indeed hear you walking to the tent from the other side of camp. And yes, you know Rivia Castle better than anyone else. but the assault must transpire silently. Gascon will lead the force.
Understood, Your Grace.
Cheers, Meave. I'll try not to disappoint.
You won't, I'm sure. God speed you on your way, and please, try your damnedest not to die.
Gascon hand-picked his men, those most adept with daggers, not swords. Noiselessly, they glided through the dark toward the castle, the light of its lanterns blurred by the evening mist. Meave watched anxiously as the boats glided away, her heart pounding in her ears. All depended on this mission. The fate of her realms, perhaps all the North, the lives of her troops, and her own. Now there was naught she could do but wait.
Good luck,
she whispered, gazing at the fortress walls, cloaked by the dark that seemed to surround all now. The Lyrians prepared for battle, their silence absolute, in darkness, illuminated only by the pale light of the moon. Meave was restless. She paced nervously in a circular pattern, awaiting the signal they'd agreed upon.
Blast, it's taking long. Much, much too long.
Finally, a torch's faint glow appeared atop the towering walls. It disappeared, then glowed again, and one more time around. Meave leapt in the air, and as she did so, barely stifled a cry of utter joy.
They made it! It worked!
Moments later, Lyrians in the hundreds burst from the trees. The Nilfgaardian defenders loaded their catapults and ballistae. They did so slowly, convinced the castle walls remained impenetrable. Then they heard chains, grinding and clinking, and the sound sent shivers down their spines. Bewildered, they watched the main gate rise as the attacking force rushed forth. General Epdahi dispatched an elite unit to take back the winch at once. Yet he saw this was in vain and all was lost when Meave rode into the castle courtyard. Meave had begun the day known as a great warrior. Yet by night's end, legend was the cloak she wore. Her shield stopped powerful blow after blow as her blade found gaps in her foe's black armor. At first, Nilfgaardians scoured the fray in search of the Queen, hoping to prove great heroes. Soon, she was their chief scourge, and they began to flee before her blade that sung their death.
Retreat! Retreat!
What was this extraordinary vigor that surged through Meave? Naturally, she wished to liberate her castle and realm, drive off the invaders, defeat the arrogant General Epdahi. But in that moment, above all else, she longed to fight her way through to the guardhouse and bring Gascon's party relief.
Follow me! Move! Move!
Meave had expected the worst, a bloodbath, piles of corpses. Yet all in the guardhouse was eerily quiet and calm. The door to the winch room lay shattered, true, but this was the one sign there'd been any sort of struggle. What happened here, she thought. Cautiously, she entered, looking, searching for any trace of Gascon and his fighters. Instead, she spotted Willem, curled up in a corner, clutching his bloodied belly, his fingers not enough to stop all the holes. Meave tore off her cloak and went to stem the bleeding.
Willem, what happened here?
My wrongs. I sought to right them.
Wheezed the prince.
Please, forgive me.
The young prince choked on this last word, did not manage to utter it, before his eyes went dull. Moments later, her men entered the room to find the queen kneeling, pounding the wall with her fists, her eyes flooded with tears. Willem lay motionless beside her, covered by her cloak. Gascon pushed his way through the other foot soldiers. He knelt beside the queen and whispered what had happened. His unit had not managed to reach the gate in time, but Willem had. Upon seeing Lyrian forces converging on the fort, the prince had rushed to the guardhouse and opened the gate himself. By the time Nilfgaardians closed it again, it was too late. The Lyrians were through. The queen rose, her fists clenched, her shoulders rigid, her knuckles white. Her face betrayed no sorrow, no despair, just rage, hot as a forge, immeasurable.
Now's not the time to mourn.
Seethed Meve, struggling to stay calm.
Now's the time for war, for slaughter, revenge. With victory today, we'll recover our home, return to our kin and set our blades aside at last. Yet until victory is ours, they must drink. Drink greedily of Nilfgaardian blood!
The Lyrians were at the brink, near their breaking point. They'd followed Meve for thousands of miles, over snow-clad peaks, through forbidding swamps. They'd fought, survived countless battles at her side. And though their gazes were now weary, she knew they'd follow her into fire.
Your Grace, the Blackclads, they've holed themselves up in the upper keep. We went to breach the wall, alas to no avail.
Meve nodded, twirled her sword, then leapt upon a mount. Her eyes spoke pure determination.
So we'll bloody well try again. This is the end, Ebdahi. Do you hear me? I shall stick your head on a pike!
I must thank you. Your fortress has superbly solid walls. Hey!
Again and again and again.
Dwa en Kedza!
An army's a waste of time for one like me. Again and again and again.
Ludicrous! Give me some of that! Enough! I do not need to hear this. Kill her!
Arbalist is your command.
It's gonna be a right good levy, big and beautiful. weapon!
Oh, Lyrian lummoxes. Thing about slings, they hide well.
Surrounded by fools! For Rivia! To the gloire!
Carny Bettles, hungry like a wolf I am.
Archers, let it be night. Obscure the sun with arrows.
Armor won't say.
Ingratitude!
Stop your yapping and start digging.
Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
Inarignalde Krolfair. Barbarians.
left, right, left. What now?
Off to the front yet again.
Here. One bullet's all I need.
This is the end, Dahi. Do you hear me? I shall stick your head on a pike!
Death is only the beginning!
I must thank you. Your fortress has superbly solid walls.
Retreat!
Thing about slings, they hide well.
Enough! I do not need to hear this. Kill her!
I'm coming, I'm coming.
Hail cats out!
Archers, let it be night. Obscure the sun with arrows.
Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
Gonna need 3 buckets of nails and a tub full of pegs.
Brach! Scheiß! In! Zwei!
An army's a waste of time for one like me.
Off to the front yet again.
Don't you worry yourself, your grace. We'll get her done in no time.
Left, right, left, right.
Quiet! Or the Commissar will hear.
Pissing in the moat? Oh, it's dead.
March on.
Brach! Scheiß! In! Zwei!
Our ballista, your command.
Off to the front yet again.
This is the end of Dark.
I must thank...
Oh, Lyrian lummoxes.
Enough! I do not need to hear this. Kill her!
Fian! Blood washes away all shame!
Fools! I'm surrounded by...
To the last!
Allez, gloire!
Wait!
I warned you.
Off to the front yet again.
Quiet, or the Commissar will hear.
Scheiß! In! Zwei!
Now, how did that incantation go?
Cursed traitors.
Of course, as you wish, Master.
Fuck, our ass is moving.
Off to the front yet again.
Again and again and again.
Quiet, or the Commissar will hear.
An army's a waste of time for one like me. Again and again and again.
How's the thing, all right?
As today the day?
Come here! Let's dance! I'm a wrong set.
A highly curious case.
Of course I'll manage. I trained a full week.
Egreto dum anime est, spes est.
Archers, let it be night. Obscure the sun with arrows.
Inarin Yarde Kronfair.
Where is he? Tell me where!
Nilfgaard had the upper hand, yet the black-clad spirits had suffered. They now made more use of shields than of swords. When Meve finally broke through their line, they raised their arms in surrender. Rivia Castle had fallen. It was hers once more.
Trocker! Nen to win!
Meve showed her prisoners of war mercy, knowing full well they'd only followed orders. Death would be the fate of only Ardal ep Dahi, the one Nilfgaardian who'd issued those commands. Alas, the general had disappeared. A prisoner revealed ep Dahi had fled as soon as the Lyrians had surged towards the upper keep. He had glided down to the lower castle in a wicker basket for transporting food. Curled up beneath potato skins and other scraps, he'd scurried away not unlike a common maggot. Meve cursed her luck and leaned back against a merlin. Dawn was yet a few hours off, but the horizon had already begun to glow blood red. The Nilfgaardian reserves now drew near, too late to prevent the castle's fall.
I'll get him,
muttered the queen, more to herself than anyone else.
I swear on all that's sacred I'll catch the bastard. But now we've a pressing matter to see to. Preparing the defense.
That night the war turned, with the battle for Rivia Castle as its fulcrum. Meve's great victory, not only retaking the stronghold in a single evening, but also fending off a further invading army, proved the Nilfgaardian Colossus had feet of clay. The armies of the north had united and now seemed to be on the attack everywhere. Imperial forces, while still far more numerous, lay stretched over thousands of miles. Their position was untenable, and Nilfgaard's commanders knew this. In a decisive battle they yet stood a chance, so they gave said battle, and suffered a resounding defeat. Just a few months on from that memorable night in Rivia, the Imperial army was in utter disarray. Aldersburg, the fortress, remained a last point of resistance. General Dahi and what had survived of Army Group East had dug in there. This place, where Nilfgaard had triumphed grandly in the war's early days, would now bear witness to its impending defeat. It seems history, after all, has a sense of justice, or humor, or both. Though Meve had already reclaimed her realm, she refused to retire her sword just yet. For King Demavend had requested her aid in purging Edirn of the invader. How could she refuse? She owed the king a favor, firstly. Yet she also had a burning desire to settle the score with Dahi.
Demavend's envoy and I spoke, Your Majesty. The king has Aldersburg surrounded. He awaits and won't begin the assault till you arrive.
Good. I truly hate to miss it. Tell the troops to prepare. Gear and ire.
Of course, Your Grace.
Yes? Is there something else?
Pardon my boldness, Your Grace, but I can't help but be concerned. You don't sleep. You've the air of illness about you.
Reynard, I just buried my son, who died in my arms, goddammit.
Yes. Died a hero, Your Majesty. I wasn't sure Willem could ever wash away the shame. He'd betrayed his country, his mother, aligned with the fiercest of our foes. But his actions in Rivia washed away his wrongs. Willem showed himself worthy to be called your son. I don't say any of this to deepen your grief, Your Majesty. I mean merely for you to be proud of him.
You're right. I thank you, Reynard. That I needed to hear. We've talked enough. We must march on to Aldersburg.